Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So on today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this deep plunging neckline with a skin illusion net. But before we go ahead, as usual, kindly like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be informed anytime I upload new videos. So let's jump at this. So guys, this is me showing you all the patterns, and I'll go ahead to the most important part this tutorial, which is the sewing part. So for me, I like to start with labeling all my pieces together so it doesn't get confusing along the line. So I label or I mark the back part, and I'll go ahead to pin each of the piece together. I'll pin it towards where I'm going to sew. If you watch closely, you will notice that I'm pinning it towards where I'm going to sew the pieces together. So the same thing I did for the main fabric is the same thing I'll do for the lining as well. So please don't forget to mark your pieces so you don't get confused. So I'll go ahead to sew my pieces down, and I'll come back to show you how it looks like after sewing. After sewing all my pieces together, I notch the parts that I sewed down. I notch both the main fabric and the lining so it can be relaxed when I turn it over. You can see how relaxed and how curvy it's looking. So I'll go ahead to trim out all the excesses that is there in both the lining and both the main fabric. Don't forget to do that because it's important so it can be accurate. You can see how curvy that cup is. Like even without cup, it's still curvy. This is how yours is supposed to look like, right? And it's made possible. It's easy because I notched it. If you don't notch it, it's not going to come out like that. So I'm going to go ahead and join the main fabric, but before I join it, I like to divide the midpoint, the middle point, right? If you don't divide or if you don't separate this midpoint, there's no how, or it's not possible for you to get that the plunging neckline. You have to divide the middle part, and that is why we left half an inch in the pattern paper when we were cutting the pattern. You have to divide the midpoint. If you don't divide it, you're not gonna get it. So just watch closely and you understand what I'm doing there. So I'm going to join all my pieces together for the main fabric and as well for the lining. So enjoy watching it. After sewing down all my pieces, this is how it looks like, the bow part. Don't forget that we have divided the middle point, right? So I'll bring out all my pieces, and because of this tutorial, I won't be using a cup. Yes, because that's not even the important part. The important part is how to, like I'm showing you how to get the plunging neckline, right? But if you want to use a cup, this is the point where you sew down your point, just like the way I'm showing you. Exactly that line is where you join your fabric and the cup together. before you join it to the main fabric. That's the down part of the corset. So I'll go ahead to join my cup to the body, and I'll come back to show you how it looks like after sewing. So this is how it looks like after sewing. After sewing the cup, after joining the cup to the body, I joined the cup to the body for the main fabric and as well for the lining. So I'll go ahead to join the right side facing the right side, as you can see, and I'll trim off the excesses that are not needed so it doesn't get confusing along the line. I'll trim off the excess for the lining, and I will trim off the excess that is on the main fabric as well. Now down to the most important part of this tutorial. So if you remember, on the pattern paper we went downwards by 14 inches. That is the 14 inches that I'm marking right there, and that is where the illusion net is going to start from, down to the armhole, right? So I'm going to bring the illusion net. I'll mark both parts. That's the 14 inches that's the deepness of the plunging neckline. We'll mark it on both of the fabric, and don't forget that we divided already. So I'll bring the net, the mesh net, and put it at that point, just like you're seeing. Watch closely and take your time to understand, and to understand what you're saying right now. So I will join one part of the net to that point where I chalked, and I'll bring the lining and join it the same way I joined the same way the main fabric is. The only difference is that the lining right part is facing the main fabric right part, right? That the lining is facing the right side of the lining is facing the right side of the fabric. So I'll go ahead and pin down I'll pin it down so it does not move or shake while I'm sewing. So as I'm pinning it down, I'm checking for the line and for the net, if it's still in between, and if I'm not holding too much of the illusion net, just like the way you're seeing right now. Watch closely. You even notice that the joining of the corset, they meet each other with the main fabric. So just pin down your fabric, the lining and the main fabric, while the initial net is in between. Make sure the net is properly laid down so it doesn't get fold, or you don't skip it while sewing. So I'm going to pin it down carefully and sew it, and I'll come back to show you how it looks like after I have sewn it down. There's actually a reason why I'm taking my time to show you this part. I'm not skipping it, or neither am I fast forwarding it. I want you to see and understand why I'm taking my time to show you this part, so you don't get confused, or so you don't get it all wrong while you're sewing. So I'm sewing it down, and as I'm sewing, I'm checking in between for my illusion net to know and to see if it's in place. So I'm going to sew it down. After sewing, I removed my pins, and this is how it's looking like, so neat and perfect. Yeah. I feel like I don't even need to be saying too much because the video already is doing justice to what you're watching, right? So right now I'm joining the main fabric, the half inch we added in the pattern paper. Yeah, so I'm going to sew it down to where we notched. So I'm going to sew it down. If you like, you can sew before you get to that notch part. You can leave 1 inch it will be easy, just like the lining. You'll notice that I left 1 inch before the notch. That's the 14 inches notch that we have. So if you watch closely, you see that I'm trying to join the fabric, the main fabric and the lining together, while the illusion net is intact from that 14 inches, from that line that I chalked earlier, just the way you're watching right now. Because I'm getting it right from the beginning, that is why I did not bother to pin it down again, because the sharpness of where the 14 inches stopped is showing there, like it's obvious. So you know the right place, you face the right side of the fabric and the right side of the lining facing each other, while the illusion net is in between, and you keep arranging it to avoid it being to avoid packing SXY sewing. So as you can, if you watch closely, you notice that as I'm sewing, I'm arranging the net in between. As I'm sewing, I'm arranging the net in between, so I don't sew too much or sew lesser, or I don't even sew the net at all. So I'm being careful while I sew. So this is how perfect it came out. If you follow this tutorial, if you follow the video closely, this is how yours is supposed to come out. So I'll show you the inside. We're not done yet. I'll show you how it looks like inside. Yeah, so if you notice, there's still space on the lining and there's still space on the main fabric. So I'll go ahead and sew it to that point, right? Yeah, remember that I said before you get to that point, you leave 1 inch. Yeah, so now I'll go ahead to finish up and close the 1 inch on both the main fabric and on the lining, and I'll come back to show you how it looks like. So perfect and simple, easy way, and well detailed. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. After joining the 1 inch for the main fabric and for the line, this is the outcome of the plunging neckline with skin illusion net. You can see that it's that simple. It's not as hard as it seems. So guys, if you learned 1 or 2 things from this tutorial, kindly like and subscribe and share this video to your friends, and I'll see you on my other tutorial. Bye. Thank you for watching.